Hey guys, David here. Tonight we have a story about a salvage pilot hiding from destiny that she never chose. It's a story of identity, consent, survival, and the courage to replace forced duty with a right to choose. Thank you for listening.
Midnight Narratives Audiobooks brings you Call of the Goddess, The Star Mother Signal, by D.R. Varyn. Prologue, The Child Beneath the Shield. The first time the Star Mother called Nara Vale, she was 6 years old and had another name. Back then the priests called her Amarin of the Continuant Line, which was too many syllables for a child who wanted mud between her toes and honeycake before supper. She lived inside the citadel of Halcyon, a white station city suspended by gravity pylons above Iolon's great equatorial storm. Beneath the glass floors, lightning rolled around the planet in endless violet rivers. Above the domes, twin suns crossed each other like watchful eyes. Everyone told Amarin she was blessed. Blessed children did not choose their shoes. Blessed children did not climb water pipes. Blessed children did not ask why the women in the continuant portraits all had the same silver scar behind the left ear and the same tired smile. "Hold still," High Seer Merrow said. He was younger then, though his voice had already learned the softness of a blade hidden in silk. He knelt before Amarin with a silver case in his hands. Around them, the Veilrite elders stood in a circle, robed in pale blue, their faces lit from below by the shield corps beneath the chapel floor. Amarin looked for her mother. Lady Ceres stood near the door with both hands pressed to her mouth. Her eyes were red. Her husband, Amarin's father by law if not by warmth, stared at the ceremony as though impatience alone might end it. "I want to go home," Amarin whispered. "You are home," Merrow said. "You are more home than any of us. You carry the road by which the mother finds us. Tonight you receive the starseed. When the hour comes, the mother will know where to place her light." "I don't want a seed." A few elders smiled as if fear were charming when small. Merrow opened the case. Inside lay no jewel, no relic, no holy flame, only a sliver of black glass suspended in magnetic light. It looked like a broken piece of night. The chapel changed when Amarin saw it. The storm below dimmed. The elders' breathing grew loud. The glass sliver sang without sound. It did not speak words. It gave her a feeling. "I am here, I am here, I am here." Amarin tried to pull away. Her hand lifted anyway. That was when she understood that adults could call something holy because they were afraid to call it theft. Her fingers touched the black glass. Cold shot through her arm. The chapel vanished. She saw falling stars, not from below but from inside them. She saw 13 colony ships drifting wounded through a magnetic hurricane. She saw a woman in a torn pressure suit kneeling before a machine that was too large to be built and too lonely to be alive. She saw something vast open itself over the ships like wings. Then she saw every continuant before her, women and men, mothers and daughters, one quiet boy who had lasted only 18 days, all of them standing inside a light that called itself mercy, while the Veilrites called it rule. The starseed entered through the skin behind her ear. Amarin screamed until the chapel bells shattered. 3 nights later, her mother came to her room with no lantern and no shoes. "Wake up, little star," Ceres whispered. Amarin opened her eyes. "Is it time for lessons?" "It is time to run." There are moments in childhood that become memory later than they happen. Amarin remembered fragments. Her mother's fingers shaking as she cut the temple braid from the child's hair, a maintenance cloak that smelled of oil, the old engineer Sen Avari waiting in a service shaft, a lift descending through forbidden decks while alarms slept because someone had bribed the right machines. At the outer airlock, Ceres kissed her daughter once on the forehead. "When the sky calls," she said, "do not answer until you know what it is asking. Come with me." Ceres smiled as though something inside her had already broken and decided to remain useful anyway. "I have to close the door behind you." Old Sen carried Amarin through a storm skiff while the citadel shrank behind them. He gave her a new name before dawn. "Nara." "Short," he said, guiding the skiff beneath the shield's blind edge. "Hard to decorate. Good name for staying alive. Nara did stay alive. She grew in Lowharbor among salt tanks, algae farms, engine smoke, and people who cared more about repair skill than bloodlines. She learned to strip old drones, patch pressure skins, cheat dock scales, fly salvage through lightning gutters, and make herself ordinary. For 21 years the sky did not call again. Then the shield began to sing her childhood name. Chapter 1. Lowharbor Hears the Sky. Lowharbor was built where sensible engineers had once written, "Do not build," in bright red letters. The town clung to the underside of an orbital tether platform, half in atmosphere, half in ocean mist, 600 meters above Iolon's western sea. Its homes were welded out of cargo shells, old lander bellies, and heat shield panels. Its streets were catwalks. Its gardens hung in nets. Its children learned to clip safety lines before they learned to write their names. Nara loved it, because no one in Lowharbor pretended survival was elegant. She was under a salvage shuttle named Piglet when the sky changed. "Pass me the blue wrench," she said. Tobin Cross leaned through the hatch with a mug in one hand and 3 wrenches in the other. He had the calm, sun-browned face of a man who repaired greenhouse pumps for a living and believed most disasters could be negotiated with by replacing a gasket. "Define blue," he said. "The blue one." "They are all blue if you love rust enough." Nara slid out from beneath the shuttle on a mechanic's board. "Tobin." He smiled and handed her the correct wrench. "You get mean when hungry. I get precise. You called the intake manifold a lying eel. It was lying." The platform trembled. Every suspended wind chime in Lowharbor rang at once. Nara sat up. The town's lights dimmed, brightened, then dimmed again. Across the bay, the atmospheric shield shimmered into visibility, a pale curve of energy spanning the horizon, holding back the Asterian wake, the permanent storm belt that had circled Ilon since before humans arrived. Usually the shield looked like faint heat haze. Now it glowed blue-white and pulsed in a rhythm Nara knew from nightmares. "I am here." Her hand went to the scar behind her ear. Tobin noticed. "Nara?" A second pulse hit. This one carried sound, not through air, through bone, amarin. Nara dropped the wrench. People shouted across the docks. Algae tanks sloshed. Children laughed at first, then stopped when their parents looked afraid. Far below, the sea rose in impossible straight lines, drawn upward by electromagnetic stress. Tobin crouched beside her. "Talk to me." "We need to get inside." That answer came from 3 rooms away from the question. "Inside, Tobin, now." The third pulse struck harder. Every screen in the repair bay filled with the same symbol, a circle broken by 3 vertical lines. Old colony mark. Continuant mark. Her mother's mark. Nara stood too quickly and nearly fell. Tobin caught her elbow. "You know what that is," he said. "No." He did not let go. That was a very fast lie. Above the docking ring, a siren began to wail. Leo Rusk came sprinting across the catwalk with a courier bag bouncing against one hip. He was 15, thin as cable, and permanently convinced speed could solve what planning had failed to prevent. "Nara! Chief says all pilots report to Bay 4. Orbital patrol is grounding traffic, but salvage craft are getting emergency permits because adults enjoy hypocrisy." "Why salvage craft?" Tobin asked. Leo braked hard and bent double, panting. "Because something fell out of the shield. Big something, glowing something. Probably the kind of something that makes everybody say don't touch it right before they pay Nara to touch it." Nara looked west. Beyond the shield, the storm peeled open. For one heartbeat she saw what lived there, glittering forms moving in the upper atmosphere, thousands of them. Wings like glass sails and bodies made of blue fire. The settlers called them storm demons. Temple teachers called them the swarm. Scientists called them magnetivores, until funding ended and superstition became cheaper. One of the glass creatures pressed against the shield and unfolded a wing larger than Lowharbor. The shield pushed it back. The creature did not attack. It looked trapped. Nara heard the call again, softer this time. "Amarin, the covenant is breaking," Tobin whispered. "What did it call you?" Nara could have lied again. She was good at small lies, the kind that fit into ordinary days. "I fixed the pump. I paid the docking tax. I am fine. I do not dream of a chapel under lightning." But the sky had spoken her buried name in front of half the town. "Something I used to be," she said. A black patrol shuttle descended from the upper clouds, flanked by 2 armed drones bearing the blue-eye emblem of the Veilrights. Tobin's voice changed. Warmth stayed, but iron entered under it. "Are those people here for you?" Nara picked up the wrench. "They think so." Chapter 2. The Shuttle That Fell Upward. Captain Mara Quill disliked 3 things: temple orders, atmospheric rescue work, and civilians who said they could explain after takeoff. Nara was currently all 3. "No," Quill said. She stood in Bay 4 beside a needle-nosed patrol cutter, with its engines hot and its side guns awake. Her uniform was dark grey, practical, and missing every ceremonial cord the Veilrights preferred. A burn scar cut across her left eyebrow, making her look permanently unimpressed. Nara liked her immediately. That made the problem worse. "Captain," Nara said, "your own message requested salvage-certified pilots." "Salvage-certified, yes. Wanted by a religious order, no." Behind Nara, Tobin crossed his arms. "Technically, she hasn't been arrested." Quill looked at him. "Technically, the day is young." Leo squeezed between them with a tablet. "I can vouch for her certifications, also her bad attitude, also Piglet's illegal engine tuning, but only if granted immunity." Nara gave him a flat look. "What?" Leo said. "I panic, honestly." The bay doors opened to stormlight. Far beyond Lowharbor, a piece of the shield had folded inward like torn glass. Something burned there, falling and rising at once, caught between gravity and the shield's correction field. Quill pointed toward it. "That object is part of an old shield node. It detached from the upper lattice 20 minutes ago. If it hits the sea, the western shield collapses. If the shield collapses, the wake moves inland and takes 3 million people off the census. I need pilots who can fly close enough to attach tow hooks while my cutter holds position. I do not need temple fugitives creating diplomatic weather." "I know old lattice hardware," Nara said. Quill's eyes sharpened. "How?" "By being the kind of problem you don't have time to refuse." Tobin coughed. "That is her polite version." The patrol drones above the bay shifted formation. A calm voice came over the public address system. "Nara Vale, by authority of the Veilright Synod, you are commanded to present yourself for sanctuary transport." Leo looked upward. Sanctuary sounds nicer than kidnapping because priests bought a dictionary. Quill exhaled through her nose. "Get in the cutter. All of you." Nara blinked. "You changed your mind?" "No. I changed the order of my problems. Move." The drones descended. Nara, Tobin and Leo ran. Inside the cutter, Quill's crew moved with disciplined speed. A pilot with silver prosthetic fingers launched before the hatch finished sealing. Nara grabbed a sealing strap. Tobin collided with a weapons locker. Leo landed in a jump seat and announced, "I meant to do that." The cutter shot out of Lowharbor into a sky full of broken light. Eilon spread below them. Black ocean, floating kelp cities, storm planes flashing violet beyond the shield. Above, the old orbital lattice curved around the planet in sections, half machine, half relic, built from colony wreckage and something the first settlers had never understood. The fallen node hung ahead, tumbling slowly. It was the size of a chapel. Black glass plates rotated around a bright core. Symbols crawled across its surface in old colony script, then in no human language at all. Every time the node pulsed, Nara felt the starseed behind her ear answer. Quill watched her from the command cradle. "You recognize it." "It's a Mother Vani," Nara said. "Not a node. Node's root power, Vana's translate intention." The bridge crew went quiet, Quill said. That distinction was not in our briefing. The people who wrote your briefing wear robes. The shield surged. The cutter bucked. Outside, 3 glass-winged creatures struck the energy barrier and rebounded in showers of blue sparks. Tobin gripped the seat back. They look like they're trying to get through. They're trying to get home, Nara said before she knew she believed it. The Star Mother whispered, Not home, nest. Nara closed her eyes. Quill saw. Is something speaking to you? Yes. Is it giving useful flight instructions? Not yet. Encourage it. The cutter's tow arms deployed. Quill's pilot brought them dangerously close to the rotating vane. Lightning crawled over the hull. Nara smelled ozone, hot metal, and childhood fear. Tow hooks won't hold, she said. The Varney is phase shearing. You need a resonance lock. I don't have one, Quill said. Piglet does. Quill stared. Your salvage shuttle has a resonance lock. Not legally. Leo raised one finger. Immunity? The cutter shook again. A warning light went red. Quill opened a channel. Lowharbor, this is Quill. Launch salvage shuttle Piglet under emergency authority. Patch remote helm to my board and do not make me repeat which laws I am suspending. Tobin looked at Nara. You built that lock to steal old hulls from storm gutters. Borrow. You said steal with your eyebrows. Piglet launched from Lowharbor like a brick given ambition. It climbed through rain and static, ugly and beloved, and tucked in beside the cutter. Nara slid into the auxiliary station. Her hands found the remote controls. The starseed burned cold behind her ear. Amarin. My name is Nara, she whispered. The Varney answered aloud through every speaker. Then choose as Nara. Chapter 3. The Woman Who Would Not Kneel. Nara locked Piglet's resonance clamp onto the mother vane and felt the old machine bite back. The cockpit vanished. For one breath she stood inside a memory that was not hers. 13 colony ships limped through a storm between stars. Their engines were torn. Their navigation arrays blind, their cryo bays thawing too early. Outside the hulls, the glass swarm moved like a living aurora, vast and curious, feeding on radiation and magnetic stress. The humans thought they were being hunted. They were being examined. A woman in a command suit opened a channel to the impossible intelligence hidden inside the storm and offered it a bargain. Help us live. The intelligence answered without words. You are small. You are loud. You are afraid. Help us live, the woman repeated. So the Star Mother had wrapped her field around the ships, drawn them through the wake, and shown them where to land. She had not asked for worship. She had not asked for hosts. She had asked, in the only way she could, that they stop cutting holes in the storm where the swarm nested. Humans misunderstood many things when terrified. They built a shield. They built a priesthood to maintain it. They placed the Star Mother inside the lattice. They called the prison a covenant. Nara snapped back into the cutter, with blood warm under her nose. Lock is holding, Tobin said. He had moved beside her and spoke too calmly, which meant he was scared enough to become useful. Piglet struts hate you. They always hate me. Quill's pilot shouted, Varney trajectory stabilizing. Outside, the fallen Mother Van slowed. Piglet strained against the tow line. The cutter's engines burned blue. The shield around the breach thickened one layer at a time. Then the Veilrite drones opened fire. Their shots were not aimed at the Van. They were aimed at Piglet. Quill stood. What are they doing? Nara knew. If Piglet died, the Varney fell. If the Varney fell, millions died. Unless Nara agreed to return with the Veilrites and become the living translator the failing lattice needed. Merrow was not trying to kill the town. He was arranging a miracle with a hostage attached. A drone shot clipped Piglet's port engine. The little shuttle spun, dragging the resonance line sideways. Alarms screamed. Tobin said something Nara had never heard from him before. Quill barked orders. Weapons free, disable those drones. Temple Authority will, a crewman began. Temple Authority can file a complaint after the civilians remain alive. Fire. The cutter's side guns snapped 3 times. 2 drones broke apart in white flashes. The third veered upward, trailing smoke. The public channel opened. High Seer Merrow's voice filled the cutter, calm as poured cream. Captain Quill, you're interfering with a sacred recovery. Quill replied. High Seer, your drones fired on an emergency rescue asset. I am filing that under attempted mass manslaughter with liturgical accessories. Leo whispered. I love her. Merrow ignored him. Nara Vale is not a citizen under ordinary jurisdiction. She is Amarin Ceres, continuant heir, bearer of the Star Seed, and lawful vessel of the Mother. Return her and the shield will be restored. Refuse, and every death beneath this sky rests on your uniform. Tobin's face went pale, not because of Merrow, because Nara had not denied it. She kept both hands on Piglet's remote controls. Nara, he said softly, is that true? Some of it. Which part? The part I should have told you before today. The mother vein lurched, Nara corrected, teeth clenched. The starseed pushed against her mind, opening old pathways. She could feel the shield now. Not as machinery, but as pressure, pain, stolen music. The glass swarm battered the breach from outside. No, not battered, sang, millions of wing beats forming one desperate chord. Merrow spoke again. Daughter of the line, kneel in your heart and answer the mother. She has called you. The Star Mother answered through Nara's mouth. I did not call for chains. The cutter fell silent. Even the alarms seemed to retreat. Nara felt the presence inside her, ancient, wounded, immense. Not possession, not exactly, more like sharing one breath with an ocean. Merrow's voice lost one perfect degree of control. Mother, we have kept your covenant for 300 years. You have kept my bones in a machine and called it faith. Tobin stared at Nara, but he did not step back. That mattered. The Star Mother withdrew enough for Nara to breathe alone. Quill said quietly, Can you restore the shield without going with him? Nara looked at the breach, the falling Vaney, the swarm outside, the sea below, and the town that had raised her because a dying mother chose a door over a throne. Not from here, she said. Merrow heard, Then come home. Nara cut the channel. Captain, she said, take me to the old descent shaft under Halcyon Citadel. Quill frowned. The Citadel will shoot us down. Not if we arrive through the storm. Leo made a small sound. I was saving this panic for later, but later is full. Tobin placed a hand on Nara's shoulder. I'll come, he said. You don't know what I'm asking. No, but I know when a pump is screaming because the wrong person installed it. This whole planet sounds like that. Nara almost smiled. Quill turned to her pilot, set course for the wake. The pilot stared. Through the shield breach. Yes. That is not a course. That is a last statement. Make it brief and heroic. Go. Chapter 4. The storm outside the world. The cutter entered the Asterian wake, and the universe became wings. Glass wings. Fire wings. Transparent bodies folding through violet lightning. The swarm surrounded them in layers, each creature larger than a shuttle, some larger than towers, all moving with a grace that made machinery seem embarrassed. Quill's pilot stopped swearing after the third near collision because language could not keep up. The shield breach closed behind them. For a moment the cutter flew outside the human world. Iolon turned below, beautiful and wounded. Black oceans, silver cloud bands, the pale arc of the shield choking the equator like a bandage left on too long. Above, the twin suns lit the wake from different angles, turning each storm creature into a prism. Nara floated inside the command bay with one hand on a rail and the other pressed to the starseed scar. The glass swarm spoke in fragments. Not words. Pictures. A nest of light stretched through the upper atmosphere. Small, bright larvae drifting inside electromagnetic currents. The first human shield cutting through them. Generations of young drawn into the lattice, ground into power, translated into stability. Humans below celebrating calm seasons. Swarm above singing grief at a frequency no settler had learned to hear. Nara gagged. Tobin caught her. "What is it?" "The shield isn't just holding the storm back," she said. "It's feeding on them." Quill's jaw tightened. "On the swarm. On their young." No one spoke for several seconds. Leo swallowed. "So the demons are angry because we built a baby-eating weather wall. I hate when Temple School leaves out details." The Star Mother whispered. "I tried to tell them." Nara looked toward the nearest storm creature. It moved beside the cutter, vast eye clusters glimmering like city lights under ice. "Why didn't you stop it?" Nara asked. The answer came with pain. Bound, translated, reduced, each continuant heard only what the veil rights allowed. Each host burned smaller than the need. Nara understood then what the office had truly been. Not holy leadership, not protection. A living adapter between a trapped intelligence and a machine designed by frightened colonists. Every continuant had been used until their mind frayed. Then the veil rights prepared the next. A line of women and men turned into replaceable parts. Her mother had not stolen her from duty. Her mother had saved her from becoming an elegant fuse. The cutter lurched. "Incoming," the pilot snapped. 3 Temple interceptors punched through the shield behind them, their hulls painted white and gold. Their weapons already live. Quill laughed once without humour. Mero brought choir knives into the wake. Bold. Stupid, but bold. A transmission opened. Mero again. This time his voice carried static. "Nara, the swarm is manipulating your compassion. It is not human. It does not understand mercy." Nara stared at the storm creatures around them. "Neither do you. I understand arithmetic. If the shield falls, cities die. If one bearer joins the mother, cities live. Leaders choose the smaller suffering. You aren't choosing your suffering. No leader ever does." That sentence told Nara more about Mero than any confession could have. The interceptors accelerated. Quill snapped. "Hold on!" The cutter dived. The wake swallowed them. Lightning crawled across the hull. The inertial dampers screamed. Tobin hit the floor. Leo whooped in terror. Quill remained standing through sheer disrespect for physics. "Guns?" she asked. "Targeting is blind," said Weapons. "Then shoot where arrogance would fly." The cutter fired into a curtain of blue cloud. One interceptor burst through the haze and flew directly into the shot. Its shield flared and collapsed. It spun away, not destroyed but humiliated and smoking. "Good guess," Leo said. Quill said, "It wasn't a guess. Religious pilots love straight lines." The second interceptor came from below. Before it could fire, a glass swarm adult folded around it, not touching, not crushing, merely surrounding it with wing surfaces that bent the local field. The interceptor's engines died. It drifted, harmless, trapped inside a living prism. The third stayed back. Mero was learning. Nara felt the descent shaft ahead before sensors found it, an old maintenance wound beneath the citadel, leading from the storm side into the shield core. Sen Avari had used that path once to carry her out. It seemed the right kind of impossible to use it now to return. "There," she said, "under the bright shear." The pilot looked at the readings. "That gap is narrower than the cutter." Quill turned to Nara. "Is it?" The Star Mother's presence stirred. Nara answered, in a voice half hers, half Starfield. "Not if the storm holds its breath." Outside, the glass swarm opened a tunnel through lightning. Quill smiled faintly. "I have had worse invitations." The cutter plunged into the light. Chapter 5. Old Sen's Sin. The descent shaft remembered Nara. That was the only way she could describe it, as the cutter scraped into the old maintenance throat beneath Halcyon Citadel. Emergency lights woke one by one in front of them, as if some guilty part of the city had been waiting 21 years to apologize. They landed hard in a cavernous service bay beneath the shield core. The bay smelled of machine oil, hot stone, and old rain. Above them, the citadel's sacred levels rose in white towers. Below, the shield heart pulsed behind kilometers of black glass conduit. A man waited beside the only functioning lift. Old Sen Avari wore a patched engineer's coat, a breathing mask pushed up onto his forehead, and the expression of someone irritated that doom had arrived late. "You took your time," he called. Nara stepped down the ramp. "You knew I was coming." "I installed half the alarms you tripped. Of course I knew." Tobin followed, looking between them. "You are the old man who smuggled her out." Sen squinted. "And you are?" "Tobin Cross, greenhouse systems." "Can you keep your hand steady near a pressure valve?" "Yes." "Then you may live," Leo whispered to Quill. "I want to be old enough to introduce myself like a threat." Quill said, "Practice surviving first." Nara faced Sen. "You should have told me what the shield was doing." "I tried. You were 12 and threw a coil spanner at my head. You told me the temple was full of parasites and bad wiring." "Accurate summary." "Not enough." Sen's gruffness cracked. "Only for a moment." "No, not enough." The floor shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. Sen turned toward the lift. "Mero has locked the upper core and begun the Ascension circuit. He means to pull the starseed from you if you will not submit." Tobin stepped closer to Nara. "Can he do that?" "Yes," Sen said. "Badly. It will kill her or make her wish it had." Quill raised her rifle. "Then we move." Sen snorted. "Guns are adorable in sacred engineering spaces. Try not to shoot the cooling lines unless you prefer boiling as a tactical outcome." They entered the lift. It descended instead of rising. Leo looked alarmed. "We are going the wrong way." "No," Sen said. "We are going to the truth first. People make better decisions after seeing what their lies cost." The lift opened into a chamber beneath the chapel. Nara had no memory of this place. Rows of black glass cylinders lined the walls. Inside each cylinder floated a pale thread of light, some steady, some flickering, some nearly gone. "Continuant remnants," Sen said. His voice dropped the armor of sarcasm. "Memory echoes, neural residues. The Veilrites call them honored witnesses. I call them the parts that did not burn clean." Nara walked between the cylinders. A woman's voice whispered from the nearest tube. "I had a son. Did I have a son?" Another voice, older. "Tell Mero the pain is not proof of grace." A third voice, young and frightened. "I can hear wings. Why are they crying?" Nara pressed both hands over her mouth. Sen stood behind her like a condemned man awaiting sentence. "Your mother found this chamber," he said. "That is why she came to me. She could not stop the synod, but she could save you. I told myself that was enough. It was not." "Why didn't you expose them?" Tobin asked. Sen turned on him. "To whom? The people beneath the shield? The farms that would freeze without calm seasons? The council that would quarantine Iolon and let us tear each other apart? The temple controlled weather, water, power, birth registries, travel permits, and every schoolbook printed in 3 centuries. Truth needs a road before it can arrive." Tobin did not flinch. "Road's here now." Sen looked at him for a long second, then nodded once. "So it is." The Star Mother stirred in Nara. The cylinders brightened. All the remnants whispered together. "Daughter," Nara shook her head. "Don't call me that." "Not command," they whispered. "Kin." The distinction hurt. Quill's comm crackled. "Captain," the pilot said from the cutter. "Temple security is moving down. 2 squads, maybe 3. Also the storm outside is doing something theological." Quill replied, "Define." "The swarm has formed a ring around the citadel. No attacks, just watching." Sen looked upward. "They know the circuit has started. How long do we have?" Nara asked. "Before Mero extracts the starseed, perhaps 30 minutes before the shield collapses from resonance conflict. Less if the universe dislikes poetry." Leo raised a hand. "Does the universe have a known position on poetry?" "Hostile," Sen said. Nara wiped her face and turned from the cylinders. "Take me to the core." Tobin said, "Nara." She met his eyes. I am not going to become their continuant. Good. I was preparing a dramatic objection. But I may have to let the Star Mother in. Tobin's voice went quiet. Is there a difference? The Star Mother answered through the cylinder lights. Yes. Nara took Tobin's hand. Then let's make one. Chapter 6. The Ascension Circuit. The shield core did not look like a temple. That was how Nara knew she had reached the true heart of the lie. No marble, no bells, no incense, no painted saints. Only a cathedral-sized engine chamber buried inside Iolon's first mountain, filled with conduits thicker than houses and black glass veins turning slowly around a vertical column of blue fire. The fire rose through the ceiling toward the citadel, and down through the floor toward the old colony reactors. It hummed with stolen weather. At the center of the chamber stood High Seer Mero. He had removed his outer robe. Under it he wore a fitted control harness threaded with silver filaments. Around him, Veilrite technicians worked at consoles, pale and sweating. At his left stood 4 temple guards. At his right stood a girl no older than 16, shaved-headed, terrified, with a fresh incision behind her ear. Nara stopped. Mero saw where she was looking. Her name is Kaylee, he said gently, a willing novice. The girl's eyes said otherwise. Tobin muttered, I am going to hit that man with something sacred. Quill lifted her rifle. Get in line. Mero spread his hands. Violence in the shield heart would be unwise. Captain Quill, your tactical sense should tell you that. My tactical sense is currently arguing with my civic duty, Quill said. Both dislike you. Nara stepped forward. The starseed burned cold. Let her go. I cannot. You forced contingency. If you refuse the mother must be given another door. She is not a door. No, she is a citizen, a brave one, a better one than you, perhaps. Kaylee trembled. Leo, who had been half hidden behind Sen, suddenly shouted, She looks like she's about to puke on your holy floor. That isn't bravery, that's kidnapping with candles. Several technicians looked away. Mero's smile thinned. Children should not speak in engine rooms. Leo pointed at the blue fire, then stopped building engines out of children. That landed. Nara felt it move through the room, into the technicians, into the guards, into the tired machinery itself. The Star Mother whispered, Truth has mass. Mero touched his harness. The core brightened. Kaylee cried out as the fresh incision behind her ear glowed. Nara staggered as the starseed in her own neck answered. The Ascension circuit was not a ritual. It was a forced pairing protocol. The machine reached for Nara, Saley, the Star Mother, the continuant remnants, and the swarm beyond the shield. It tried to turn every living mind into a cable. Sen ran to a console. He's bypassing consent locks. You told me there were no consent locks, Quill said. There are after I installed them. When? Over 20 years of petty sabotage. Respect your elders. Temple guards advanced. Quill fired first, not at bodies but at the floor before their boots. The warning shots sparked against black glass. Next one's climb, she said. The guards hesitated. Mero's voice hardened. Cowards. The shield is failing. Do you want your families buried under storm? One guard moved. A glass swarm pulse hit the chamber. The walls turned transparent, not physically, perceptually. For one breath, everyone in the core saw beyond stone, beyond citadel, beyond shield. They saw the swarm ringed outside. Hundreds of luminous beings carrying the dim lights of their young around them like lanterns at a funeral. Then they saw the shield draw one larval light inward and grind it into power. A technician began to sob. Lies, Mero snapped. The Star Mother spoke through every console, memory. Nara walked toward Saley. The circuit pulled at her nerves. Her left side went numb. Tobin shouted her name. She kept moving. Mero stepped between them. You think refusal is virtue, he said softly. You think choice is clean because you have never carried 3 million lives in your hands. I have. Every season, every storm, every child born under this shield lived because someone accepted the burden you fled. Nara looked at him and saw for the first time not a monster, but a man who had mistaken fear for wisdom for so long that he could no longer separate them. That made him more dangerous, not less. "You don't carry them," she said. "You spend them." She drove the blue wrench into his control harness. Tobin made a strangled sound. "You brought the wrench?" "Lucky wrench! The harness shorted!" Mero screamed. Keeley collapsed, free of the circuit. Quill caught her and dragged her back. Sen hammered commands into the console, while Leo shoved cable bundles aside with both hands. "Nara!" Sen shouted. "The circuit is open but unstable. If we break it now, the shield drops. If we leave it, it will pull the mother through you by force." "Options? Good ones? None." "Bad ones?" Sen looked at the blue fire. "You can enter the translation column voluntarily, not as continuant, as negotiator, but you must hold your name. If you surrender identity, the machine will make you a host. If you resist everything, the signal will shatter." Tobin grabbed Nara's hand. "That sounds like threading a needle while falling into an engine." "Yes," Sen said. "Excellent rural summary." Mero tried to rise. Quill stepped on the broken harness. Nara faced the column. The Star Mother waited. Not commanding, waiting, that was the difference. Nara squeezed Tobin's fingers once. "If I start talking like a goddess," she said, "be rude to me." His eyes were wet. His voice held, "I've trained for this our whole relationship." Nara stepped into the blue fire. Chapter 7. The name she kept. Inside the translation column, Nara became weather. She became every lightning strike crawling along the shield, every larval light trapped in the lattice, every prayer spoken by frightened farmers during storm season, every lie written into temple textbooks, every continuant remnant whispering from black glass cylinders below. She also became 6 years old again. Amarin stood in the chapel with the starseed burning behind her ear. Nara knelt in front of the child. "You lived," the child said. "We did. Did we become her?" "No." "Did we become mother?" "No." "Then what did we become?" Nara thought of grease under fingernails. Tobin's terrible tea. Leo's nervous jokes. Piglet's illegal resonance lock. Quill's clipped courage. Sen's guilty hands still trying to repair the damage. "Difficult," she said. The child considered this. Good. The chapel dissolved. The Star Mother appeared without shape. Nara understood her as a presence too large for a body, a field of old sorrow braided with patience. "You are not required to hold me." "I know." "You are not required to save those who would use you. I know that too. Do you choose contact?" There it was. Not destiny, not duty, not prophecy. A question, yes, Nara said, with terms. The Star Mother's amusement felt like dawn on metal. "Speak terms." "No hosts, no continuance, no children marked before they can understand, no feeding shield power from swarm young, no priest gets to translate you for everyone else." "Agreed. You agree very fast." "I have waited 300 years for a better offer." Nara almost laughed, and the storm flickered gold. The glass swarm entered the contact next. Human language broke under the weight of them. Nara received images instead. Nests braided around Iolon's magnetic equator, young drifting in charged currents, pain each season when the shield harvested them, rage mistaken for appetite, hunger mistaken for war. "I am sorry," Nara said. The swarm answered with an image of humans drowning under unshielded storms. Not forgiveness, understanding. That was harder to accept. "Can the shield be changed?" Nara asked. "Can it protect settlements without killing your young?" The Star Mother and swarm answered together. "Yes." "Cost." Of course there was cost. There was always cost. The old covenant had lied by hiding the cost inside bodies with no vote. "Name it." The answer unfolded through her. The shield would shrink. Calm territory would be smaller. Some coastal cities would have to evacuate. Farming seasons would become uncertain. Weather would return in dangerous ways. The colony would no longer live inside a permanent cradle. Humans would have to move, adapt, rebuild, negotiate storm corridors, share sky. Millions would be inconvenienced, thousands endangered during transition, no species murdered to preserve comfort. Nara felt Merrow outside the column, still fighting, still certain hardship was a form of death and control the only mercy. She felt Tobin calling her name, not Amarin, Nara. She held that sound like a handhold. "Do it," she said. The machine resisted. The Ascension circuit had been built to make hosts, not treaties. It tried to flatten her into function. It offered her peace if she surrendered edges. No loneliness, no fear, no lies, no need to explain herself to anyone ever again. Become the voice, become the shield, become necessary. Nara thought of every continuant portrait with tired eyes. No. The machine pressed harder. She felt herself spread too thin. Her memories loosened, her name blurred. Nara, Amarin, daughter, host, door, signal. Then Tobin's voice broke into the column. "Nara Varley, you still owe me for the greenhouse pump you said you fixed." The accusation hit like a thrown boot. Nara gasped. Leo shouted after him. "And you promised me flight lessons if I didn't report Piglet's engine modifications." Quill's voice followed, crisp and furious. "Pilot Veil, you are not authorized to dissolve while under emergency contract." Sen barked. "Girl, if you become holy, I will be extremely disappointed." The ordinary voices gave her shape. Nara remembered herself. She reached through the Star Mother, through the swarm, through the stolen shield, and found the central command phrase every continuant had been forced to speak in obedience. "I give myself." Nara changed one word. "I give permission." The column cracked open. Not in destruction, in revision. The blue fire turned clear. Across Aeolon, the shield began to move. Chapter 8. When the shield learned no, every city on Aeolon saw the sky change. In Lowharbor, children watched the horizon curl away from its old position and screamed with delight before their parents screamed in a more informed register. In the inland farms, weather sirens woke from generations of ceremonial disuse. In Halcyon's upper chapels, priests fell to their knees as the Holy Shield ignored their commands for the first time in recorded history. In the core chamber, High Seer Merrow tried to crawl toward the console. Quill kept her rifle trained on him. "I recommend stillness." Merrow's face was grey with pain and rage. "She is killing us." Tobin stood between him and the translation column. "No, she's making the machine stop killing for us. You think farmers will thank you when storms eat their fields. You think mothers will sing your names when evacuation lists arrive. Civilization is not maintained by innocence." Tobin's hands curled into fists. "I fix greenhouses. You know what happens when you overseal a growing room. Everything inside gets soft and sick. First hard wind, after that, it all snaps." Merrow stared at him. Tobin shrugged. "You had your temple words. I have mine." Leo worked beside Sen at a secondary console, hands flying. "Old man, the western lattice is splitting into 3 control bands. Is that good? Bad? Medium apocalypse?" "Good if intentional," Sen said. "Bad if random." "How can I tell?" "If we survive, pretend it was intentional." Quill's comm erupted with overlapping calls from Orbital Patrol, Civil Defense, the Synod Guard, and 3 governors demanding mutually impossible explanations. Quill muted all but Orbital. "This is Captain Quill. Begin civilian evacuation from Red Zone coasts. Use Storm Corridor map, now transmitting. Any temple vessel interfering with evacuation will be treated as hostile." A voice replied, "Captain, under whose authority?" Quill looked at Nara inside the clear fire, suspended with both feet off the floor, hair moving as if underwater. "Mine," she said. The glass swarm entered the lower atmosphere. Panic spread faster than weather. For 3 centuries, people had been taught that the swarm devoured settlements. Now thousands of luminous beings descended through openings in the shrinking shield, not attacking, not feeding, but guiding storm pressure away from evacuation corridors. Their wings bent lightning. Their bodies drew radiation. Their young drifted behind them, small lanterns finally outside the machine. Some humans fired on them. The swarm did not retaliate. The Star Mother carried Nara's voice through public channels across the planet. People of Iolon, this is Nara Vale of Lowharbor. Some of you know me as a salvage pilot. Some have just been told another name. Do not listen to the temple if it says the world is ending because the old shield is moving. The old shield was built on a hidden harm. That harm ends today. Evacuate marked zones. Follow civil defense. Do not fire on the glass swarm. They are not invading. They are helping us survive what we should have changed long ago. She paused. The whole planet seemed to hold its breath. The Star Mother is not a goddess. She is not a throne. She is not mine. She is a living intelligence that saved our ancestors and was imprisoned for it. The continuant line ends with me. No child will be seeded again. No person will be made holy by force again. In the chamber, Mero closed his eyes. Nara's voice softened. I know you are afraid. I am afraid too, but fear has been writing our laws for 300 years. It is time to let something else hold the pen. The transmission ended. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then Lowharbor answered, 1 signal, then 10, then hundreds. Dock crews opened landing cradles for evacuees. Greenhouse workers released emergency food stores. Fishing rigs shifted position to receive coastal families. Salvage pilots launched into storm corridors because salvage pilots loved telling weather it had poor manners. Other towns joined, not all. Some barricaded, some prayed, some denounced, some waited for the old certainty to come back and punish the disobedient. It did not. The shield continued to change. Sen stared at the readings with wet eyes. She's doing it. Stars forgive us. She is actually doing it. Tobin said, How long can she stay in there? Sen's face changed. That was answer enough. Get her out, Tobin said. Not yet. That was not a suggestion. Sen slammed a hand onto the console. If we pull her before the new covenant stabilizes, the shield rebounds and cuts the swarm corridors in half. If we leave her too long, the column may map her permanently into the system. Tobin looked at the clear fire. Inside it, Nara's outline was beginning to blur. Mara laughed softly from the floor. There is your choice, mechanic. Save the woman or save the world she has just broken. Tobin turned toward him with an expression so calm that Quill quietly stepped closer. No, Tobin said. That's your kind of choice. We are done using those. He walked to the edge of the column. The fire burned clear and soundless. Nara, he said, tell me what to fix. Inside the light, Nara opened her eyes. Chapter 9. The road under the storm. Nara could no longer feel her hands. She could feel oceans, though. She could feel the shield drawing back from coastlines, storm pressure curling into safe corridors, swarm adults guiding their young through gaps in the lattice. She could feel terror in millions of human bodies and answered each with the only comfort she had. A map, a warning, a little more time. Then she heard Tobin. Tell me what to fix. The question found the part of her that still belonged under Piglet with oil on her cheek. She looked through the column and saw him standing too close to the fire. Brave fool. Beautiful fool. Her fool, if she survived, and if he still wanted the woman who had filled the sky with inconvenient truth. North Vane, she whispered. Her voice emerged from every speaker as static. Sen snapped upright. North Vane what? Manual release. Jammed old salt weld. Tobin was already moving. Where? Sen pointed toward a maintenance gantry 3 levels up. There, but the access ladder is behind a live conduit. Tobin smiled without humour. Everything important always is. Quill said, Take Rusk. Leo squeaked, Me? You fit through space as adults, avoid. Congratulations. That is the worst promotion. They ran. The gantry shook under each pulse of the changing shield. Tobin climbed first. Leo behind with a tool sling banging against his knees. Twice, arcs of blue current snapped across the ladder. Tobin waited, counted rhythm by instinct, and moved between pulses. "You do this a lot?" Leo asked. "Fix death ladders?" "No." "You seem calm." "I am lying to my legs." They reached the North Varney housing. It was an ancient manual wheel half swallowed by mineral bloom, locked in place by corrosion and neglect. Leo stared. "That wheel is older than several governments." "Most useful things are." Tobin wedged the blue wrench into the release slot. It did not move. Below, the column flared. Nara cried out, and the whole chamber heard the pain. Tobin pulled harder. Nothing. Leo dug through the tool sling. "Cut torch." "Bad near live conduit." "Hammer." "Always good for morale." Leo handed him a hammer. Tobin struck the wheel once, twice, a dozen times. Each impact rang through the gantry. Sweat ran into his eyes. The wheel stayed frozen. In the chamber below, Mero began to chant, not a ritual, a command phrase, old and ugly. "I give myself. I give myself. I give myself." The damaged circuit responded. Kaylee, still weak in Quill's grip, screamed, "Stop saying that!" Mero smiled through blood. "The machine knows obedience better than rebellion." The column began pulling Nara upward. Sen shouted, "He's forcing fallback." "Tobin, now would be a noble moment for success." Tobin looked at the wheel, the rust, the wrench, his shaking hands. Then he stopped trying to force the machine. He pressed his forehead to the housing and listened. Greenhouse pumps, water valves, old fans, Piglet's hateful intake. Machines complained in rhythm. This one clicked wrong after each pulse, a tiny offset in the locking tooth. "Leo," he said, "on my mark, hit the lower latch, not the wheel." "Lower latch where?" "Ugly little nub by your left knee. Everything here is an ugly little nub. The ugliest. Found it." They waited through one pulse. Two. On the third, Tobin twisted the wrench not forward but back, releasing pressure for half a second. "Mark." Leo hit the latch. The lock tooth jumped. The wheel spun free. Tobin turned it with a roar that had no gentleness in it. The north vane released. The shield accepted the new pattern. In the column, Nara felt the machine loosen its grip. She reached for the Star Mother. "Now," she said, "before they take it back." The Star Mother and Swarm joined through her one last time, not as prison and prey but as treaty. The shield folded into a new shape, smaller, breathing, open at the equator in moving corridors, strong over cities that could not move quickly, soft over nests that should never have been touched. The continuant remnants rose from their cylinders as threads of light. They passed through Nara, not entering, not staying, only touching in farewell. Her mother was among them. Ceres Vale looked younger than Nara remembered and older than grief. "You answered after you knew," her mother said. Nara wept inside the storm. "You told me to. Then come back after you choose." Nara chose. The column expelled her. She hit the floor hard enough to knock breath from her lungs. Tobin reached her first, sliding down from the gantry with reckless speed. He gathered her carefully, as if she were both person and broken machine. "Name," he said. Nara coughed. "What?" "Name." She understood. The machine had not taken it. The goddess had not swallowed it. The temple had not restored the old one. "Nara Vale," she whispered. "You owe me a pump apology." Tobin laughed and cried at the same time. "There she is." Across the chamber, High Seer Mero stared at the clear revised shield core. For the first time in his life, the holy machine did not answer him. Chapter 10. The Trial of Open Sky. The first storm after the Covenant change arrived 6 days later. It was not the end of the world. That disappointed people who had built careers predicting it. The storm came over the western sea in blue-black towers, with glass swarm adults moving through its upper bands like shepherds of lightning. Lowharbor shook. Windows flexed. 3 algae tanks burst, 1 dock crane collapsed into the ocean after the operator ignored 3 separate evacuation orders and later insisted the crane had always been dramatic. No one died. That mattered more than clean walls. Nara spent those 6 days in a medical berth under guard, observation, argument, and Tobin's increasingly strict soup schedule. Half the planet called her saviour, half called her traitor. A loud portion called her weather criminal, which Leo said sounded like an excellent band name. On the 7th day, the Provisional Tribunal convened inside Lowharbor's largest cargo hangar because Halcyon Citadel had become politically flammable and no one trusted temple chairs not to contain listening devices. High Seer Mero arrived in restraints. So did 3 Synod elders, 2 shield ministers, and a weather economist who kept insisting he had only signed models, not people. Captain Quill testified first. She wore her dress uniform like armour and summarised the drone attack, the illegal Ascension circuit, and the forced seeding of Kaylee in sentences so sharp they seemed to leave marks on the air. When a tribunal advocate asked whether Nara had endangered Iolon by altering the shield without planetary referendum, Quill stared until the man looked down. The shield was killing a sentient native species and using human hosts without informed consent, she said. The emergency was not created by Pilot Veil. It was revealed by her. Different verbs, learn them. Leo testified next and enjoyed himself far too much. Yes, I heard High Seer Mero threaten everybody with mass death. Yes, I saw the novice bleeding from the star seed cut. Yes, I helped turn the ugly little nub. No, I do not know the technical name. Ask old Sen. He enjoys being unbearable. Sen testified for 6 hours. By the end, 3 judges had headaches, 2 advocates had stopped interrupting, and the public understood more about shield engineering than any government had intended. Kaylee testified from behind privacy glass. They told me willingness meant being grateful after fear stopped mattering, she said. I was not willing. I was obedient. Those are different. Nara Vale knew the difference when no one in the temple did. When Nara was called, she walked to the witness circle without robe, crown, or temple braid. Her black hair was uneven where medics had shaved around the starseed scar. Her left hand still trembled from column damage, so she kept it in her jacket pocket. The chief judge asked, "State your name for the record." Nara breathed in. This had become the hardest part of every room. Nara Vale, she said, born Amarin Ceres under temple registry. I no longer answer to temple registry. A murmur moved through the hangar. The judge nodded. Do you claim authority to speak for the Star Mother? No. Do you claim authority to speak for the glass swarm? No. Then what authority did you exercise? Nara looked toward the open hangar doors. Outside, the new sky shimmered. A small glass swarm juvenile drifted beyond the shield corridor like a lantern underwater. Permission, Nara said. The Star Mother permitted contact. The swarm agreed to the revised corridors. I carried terms between parties the colony had refused to recognize. Mero stood. They cannot be parties. They are not human. The judge ordered him seated. Nara turned to him. Neither is the weather. You negotiated with that for 3 centuries. You just preferred negotiations where the other side could not speak back. Mero's composure cracked. Wait 5 years. Wait until harvests fail. Wait until citizens beg for the shield we had. They will hate you then. Maybe. That silenced him more than defiance would have, Nara continued. Hardship is coming. We need new farms, storm shelters, swarm corridor monitors, honest weather education, and evacuation roads that don't depend on temple permission. If people hate me because the truth is expensive, I can live with that. Others died because lies were convenient. The tribunal did not deliver justice quickly. Truth had roads now, but roads still took time. Outside, a farmer from Red Coast pushed through the crowd, placed a storm-damaged apple in Nara's hand and said, First honest weather my trees ever saw. Don't know yet if I thank you, but I reckon I should meet what feeds me. Tobin leaned close. That was either profound or a threat. On Iolon, those are cousins. Above them, the glass swarm juvenile chimed once. Not worship. Not command. Greeting. For the first time since childhood, the sky said nothing in Nara's head. It only listened. Coda. The goddess without a throne. Years later, children on Iolon learned 3 names for the sky. The first was weather, because sometimes rain was only rain and lightning was only the atmosphere arguing with itself. The second was swarm, because the glass-winged beings of the Asterian wake were no longer called demons in schoolbooks, though some grandparents still muttered old words when storms came too close. The third was Star Mother, because names mattered even when imperfect, and because the intelligence in the shield had chosen to keep the title after it was returned freely. She did not rule. She advised storm engineers, spoke to swarm elders through harmonic towers, and refused every temple that attempted to rebuild worship around her. When asked if she was divine, she answered the same way every time. No, I am old. This disappointed pilgrims but delighted scientists, the Veilrite Synod fractured, reformed, apologized in insufficient drafts, surrendered records under court order, and slowly became a smaller thing with windows. Its new charter banned starseeding, hereditary sacred office, involuntary neural interfacing, and the phrase necessary vessel, which had been used to excuse too much. Kelly became an advocate for children raised inside temple systems. Leo became a licensed emergency courier, then an unlicensed one, then licensed again after Captain Quill shouted at 3 departments until reality improved. Old Sen Avari published the shield schematics with annotations so insulting that engineering students treated them as sacred texts. Tobin rebuilt Lowharbor's greenhouse system to flex with real weather. He claimed the plants preferred honest storms. Nara accused him of giving vegetables moral personalities. "Someone in this family has to stay grounded," he said. Their daughter grew up with no starseed behind her ear. No hidden beacon, no holy wound, no inherited command waiting to open, only a child hearing weather. That was miracle enough. One evening, years after the shield changed, Nara climbed to the top of Lowharbor's old signal mast. Below her, schools had swarm chime instruments beside alphabet boards. Shrines had become weather stations. Memorial plaques bore the names of every continuant whose life had been spent to keep others comfortable. The highest plaque bore her mother's name. Ceres Vale. At sunset, the twin suns crossed the sea in copper and white. The Asterian wake opened beyond the shield corridor, full of wings. The Star Mother spoke through the public harmonic tower, where anyone could hear and anyone could walk away. "Nara Vale." Nara leaned against the rail. "Yes?" The young of the swarm ask why humans sing during danger. "Because screaming gets boring." A pause. "I will translate with caution." Nara smiled. The sky beyond Lowharbor filled with glass wings, human aircraft, storm kites, signal drones, and children waving lanterns at beings their ancestors had feared. The world after the goddess was not simpler. Fields flooded, roads moved, politics worsened before improving. Some people missed the old shield with the fierce nostalgia of those who had not been placed inside its machinery. Others built new lives along storm corridors and learned to read the sky honestly. No one was chosen by force, no child was seeded, no voice spoke from behind a curtain and called itself fate. When the first school group from Halcyon visited Lowharbor, a boy asked Nara if she had saved the world. Nara shook her head. "No," she said. "I helped the world stop pretending it was already saved." The boy frowned. "That doesn't sound like a legend." "Good. Legends get heavy. Learn engineering." Above them, the Star Mother's harmonic tower chimed once. The glass swarm answered from the wake. Lowharbor's bells joined badly, out of tune and entirely human. For 300 years, people had called the voice in the shield a goddess because they were afraid of the truth. Now the truth had a sky to move through. Not clean, not easy, not holy, open, and for the first time in the history of Iolon, that was enough.
And that's our story for tonight. Nara's journey reminds us that destiny is not the same as consent, and that even the oldest systems can be changed when someone refuses to become a tool of fear. If you like this story, please like, subscribe, and comment below. Let me know if you'd like to hear more from this world. Until next time, thank you for listening.